I've been here for 5 years. For people that don't know me, I've got a pretty personal connection with the whole Hex and PulseChain ecosystem. And thanks everybody for coming out to listen to this, because these community events, they get criticized for, oh, they're not onboarding people. Sure, but the stickiness of keeping the cohesion within the community is equally as important. And so doing as many of these as possible to raise the vibes, raise the connection, and feel like we're part of a greater whole, that we're all working towards the same mission. That feeling is incredibly important. That's one of the things that Hex and PulseChain has that no other community that I know of really has, in terms of being organic and genuine and not bought and paid for. None of us have venture capital firms paying our bills, even though we wish we did sometimes. We all have either built our way or marketed our way to kind of the spots that we're at today. And everybody adds some valuable content in one way or another. And PulseChain is really the last remaining bastion of grassroots organic cypherpunk ideals. And I know everybody here has some level of respecting that. But we've got everything that a thriving community should have in order to, like Max says, in order to win. And it's about more than just crypto, right? Obviously, it's about making money, but it's about belief, common morals, common interests, community, and resilience. And whether you're a dev or an investor or a community voice, thanks for being here today. It's pretty awesome. I will be taking questions in maybe the last 5 minutes, but I'll just say my piece pretty quickly. The reality of shilling or marketing, promoting is probably a better word than shill. The reality is that it's incredibly tough during a bear market, and going down for 3 years has really tested a lot of people. So I want to congratulate everybody that's still here, because a lot of us bought at the top, right? And that was easy to do because it was the herd mentality. It feels good. It's confirmation bias. Everybody only wants to get into something after after they follow the crowd. We appeal to authority, we appeal to the crowd. And since then, a lot of us have fallen off or been shaken out. People have left, people have come and gone and come full circle sometimes. I mean, people that left came right back eventually. But it takes courage to hold and stick by your beliefs and double down when times get tough. And I think the difference that the PulseChain community has is that in terms of resilience, we don't back down. I mean, the FUD, the misinformation, from all the authority figures in the space, nobody talks positively in the mainstream about Hex Crypto or Richard Hart or PulseChain. A lot of people say it's a scam. And even from within the community too, there's a lot of frustration, anger, depression, and hate. And it does take an emotional toll, right? So it's normal to feel that emotional struggle of holding through this multi-year dip, the uncertainty of wondering whether it's all going to work out. It's a human thing, but the fact that you're all still here means that you're courageous enough to realize that it's more so about your reaction to what happens. It's about how you process information, how you then project that information to the rest of the world. And if you're obsessed with paranoia, fear, depression, anger, and you're just online talking shit all day, well, you're going to project that image to the rest of the world. And when other people look at PulseChain, they're going to say, why would I want to associate with something that is such a terrible place where everyone's whining, complaining, and doesn't want anything to do with it? It's what I'm trying to say is that we have a choice, about how we react to what happens. It's not exactly what happens, it's how you react that determines whether or not you're going to be successful. Sometimes it takes a shift in identity. Sometimes it takes having to really take action. And taking action, whether or not you're certain that it's the right action in the long run, any action is better than no action. And, you can really choose two sides. You can choose to get overwhelmed and complain and whine, but that doesn't add anything. And in fact, it just takes away not only from others, but from yourself as well. So I think it's important to remember to show ourselves some forgiveness and some humility and kind of some love, because that's going to resonate with other people too. And you all deserve it, right? I mean, being here 3 years in a bear market and doubling down and working harder than ever to build this empire. This is something that, it's only going to be rewarded in the end. And people are only going to come out of the woodwork at the end to congratulate you. But we've got this core group of believers at the bottom that is diamond-handed, that's sticking with this thing when the prices are down. So it's like I tweeted this the other day. It's cliche, but your vibe does attract your tribe. And the more, I feel like everybody watching this stream right now understands that. It's that persistence is what wins at the end of the day. There's a Calvin Coolidge quote about persistence, and that has to do with the choice we all make. We could choose to quit, give up, complain, or double down, create rather than consume, to build rather than destroy. So shout out to everybody for really actually realizing that. I see a lot of people come and go, whether they're in the community or from outside of crypto. And I think that's the reason most people don't make it, is because they just can't handle it. It's when times get tough, a lot of people give up. But the PulseChain enthusiasts, the Pulse tards, the hexicans, we're too bullish. We're perma bulls at the end of the day. We're over a long time frame. We're all staked for 15 years. And so we understand that yes, you can be optimistic and realize that there is much work to be done, because that beats the self-defeating, self-victimizing alternative of being pessimistic and just sad. And that's the reason that, again, a lot of people, they drop out. They buy crypto high, they sell it low. Sometimes they get scammed, but sometimes they kind of scam themselves with their lack of conviction. So we're a special kind of crazy, special kind of delusional. And, the only difference at the end of it all is going to be the price. The price goes up, they'll call you a genius. But because the prices are down, they'll call you delusional. I think we've hit critical mass. I don't want to say it's time to rest on our laurels and just sit around, and you can be too optimistic to a degree where, it's all going to work out, I don't need to do anything. But what I love about the Hex and PulseChain is that we realize that you can be optimistic with the drive and ambition, and realizing that, yes, there's optimism, but yes, it does require action. And over a long time frame, we will reach whatever vision or version of the vision that you have internally. And that kind of leads me to my next point about just the developers, the builders, right? This whole conference, this whole chain, it's the developers and builders are kind of like, where else would you have an environment where software developers are like the rock stars of the show? Everybody building, they're kind of, you don't see their faces a lot because they're busy building the actual stuff that we just yap about, or that I do. But this conference is like a tribute to all the dApps, all the community, even, the moderators in Telegram, the educators, the people that didn't disappear when the green candles stopped coming. So I could go on and on. It's like we've got exchanges like Coast, wallets like Internet Money, hundreds and hundreds of apps that I would probably be here for literally hours trying to remember and talk about all of them. But you guys aren't working just to get a quick pump and dump, right? Everybody's working towards a legacy, a long-term vision. A lot of us are staked in Hex for multiple years as well. And so we're doing it for more than just, social media likes or pump and dump meme coin stuff. And like, that's all going to happen on the chain anyway. But there is an underlying cohesion that we all want free, open, peer-to-peer digital money, and we want to get rich and we want to get free in the process. And again, like, I see the writing on the wall. I think that critical mass has been achieved, especially in PulseChain. When the world adopts crypto, when everybody has a wallet baked into their phone by default, what's going to matter is who's built the best infrastructure and who still has the attention economy in their favor. And right now that's PulseChain. We're regularly the top 5 chain, which is incredible by volume and stuff that's harder to fake. If you look at Dex Screener, we're less than 2 years old and we're beating out all these other chains that most of the time just had a bunch of VC money. I mean, you've got some of the winners: Binance Smart Chain, Solana, Base, Ethereum. These are all winning chains, but they've proven over 5, 6, 7 years that they were the winners or more. And PulseChain is up there as a contender after not even year 2. So we're on the right track. Let's give ourselves some credit, because it's easy to focus on the downside, right? There's, why isn't the price pumping? Everything is going great. We've got all the DeFi, all the meme coins. We've got all the NFTs. We've got exchanges coming. We've got fiat on-ramps. We've got Banksa coming up. Shout out to hexscout.com for getting a Banksa listing. We've got all this stuff, but why isn't the number going up, right? It doesn't happen overnight, and there's forces outside of our control. So, it's good to give ourselves a little bit of grace on that end. Trump tariffs and global uncertainty. Fed rates are still high. I mean, crypto's never had to exist in a quantitative tightening environment. And this is kind of us dealing with the aftermath of all this money printing, all this hyperinflation during the COVID cycle and everything. We're still paying for that. But nothing is permanent, and everything is cyclical. Everything really is cyclical. Things will come back, and I just want to be in the right place when that happens. And I'm sure, like all of you watching this, you realize that PulseChain is the right place where we kind of take things into our own hands. And if you're here watching, you've already passed the hardest test, which is just not quitting, right? That persistence thing, not giving up. It's tough. There's a lot of toxicity on X, a lot of scammers, engagement farmers, just tribal stuff. And I feel like we're at the point in the cycle where everyone's even just so depressed beyond that it's become so apathetic that people don't even have the energy to be angry anymore. We're just actually depressed. It's not even panic. It's not oh, sell everything. It's just trudging along sideways or at the all-time low. And it can get really easy to be sucked into that. I find myself doom scrolling a little too long sometimes, and it's okay to protect your attention, to protect your mental environment, right? So if someone is a net negative to themselves and others, feel free to curate your feed by muting, blocking, and just choosing the vibe that you want to project to ultimately onboard more people. Don't let someone else's fear basically hijack your vision of where you want to end up being. There's a saying, misery loves company. And it's it's easy to get sucked into that. I totally understand. I do too. I get sucked into that stuff all the time. But it is good to take these kinds of conferences and realize that we can rise above all that. And I think it's pretty nice. I think the courageous and the persistent people, they do rise above that by kind of just building their way through it and putting the blinders on to anything that's not part of your vision. It's like when you're making a sculpture, right? You carve out everything that's not the sculpture. So random haters within or without, from outside or within the community. I mean, you just pay them no mind and keep moving forward. Even just, touching grass, stuff like that is important. It's good to just take a mental wellness check at this point in the bear cycle, because everybody's struggling. The prices are all down. But you do have that choice to control what you look at and what you feed. And if you feed the trolls, you feed the egregore of that's kind of like a boogeyman, right? Of this, it's all made up in the collective consciousness is what I'm saying, right? The fears about the SEC, sometimes I wonder how much did we cause the fear rather than actually help it. We had more news coverage about it than most SEC cases ever had. And that shows incredible passion, right? But then there's two ways to look at stuff like FUD like that. You could say, oh, well, we're going to beat them one day and it's going to be glorious. Or, oh, woe is me, this is terrible. We have an SEC case. What is everyone going to think about me? Blah, blah, blah. It's good to just flip that on its head. And you really can just decide to do that. It's pretty cool. Yeah, you can just do things. Sam Altman. So what is in your control, right? Learning, building, connecting and promoting with other people, and protecting your mental health. All that stuff is in your control. What's not is like whatever Trump decides to do, or whatever wars break out, or if there's like some black swan COVID. Like, we can't beat ourselves up for that kind of stuff. And sometimes that comes with the danger of just zooming in and creating more than you're consuming, more than you're creating. Like the danger of like obsessing over like the charts every day, or the X feed every day. It really does get a lot easier when you're crafting the narrative, and when you zoom out and aren't letting your emotions get caught up by whatever the daily price candle is, which, you know, I should take my own advice sometimes, because I'm probably, not much different than everyone else in terms of waking up, checking the price, and feeling defeated. It just comes down to that internal locus of control, like knowing that you have a lot more power than you might think that you do, and remembering that. And that's all I got for you. It's kind of just winging it here. You don't need to be perfect. You just you need to be aware and present, and don't let attention thieves steal all your attention in a negative way. And we should celebrate the fact that we're all surviving, right? We're all surviving, not just surviving the bear, but like preparing for the bull market as well. I don't know how much time I have left. I suppose I could take questions, but Max is
we
back.
Can riff a little bit. We can riff a little bit. Yeah, the opposite of what is it? The enemy of good is perfect. I know you remind me of that one as well. So I think that's everyone out there looking at their portfolio and it's like, oh, it's down. It's like, well, again, you have the power to frame this however you want. You can frame it as, oh, I got scammed, or you can frame it as, oh, the whole community is aligned for glory. So like, let's go up. Maybe we got to wait a little bit longer. Maybe we got to push harder. Maybe we got to wait to better conditions, but you have the power to control that stuff. So you can make yourself sad all day long. I would prefer not to do that.
Yeah, X is a sadness machine, right? Like, it's not even just crypto stuff. It's like, it feels like everything nowadays is race baiting or like rage bait, basically, of like people, unfortunately, for better or worse, that they can now make money on monetizing your anger. And they're coming after like everybody that's gonna like decide to get in a Twitter argument. Like, you don't actually solve any problem. You just feed the one guy that's sowing division through this really dark kind of black hat money making method, which is like, the Jews or the blacks, blah blah blah. Like, people just try to make it's black versus white, or it's a lot of it's male versus female or something, and they'll try to just pit people against each other. Yeah, a lot of it is like women or illegal immigrants and stuff like that. And it is hard to not get sucked in. And I find it personally easier when you're making something. But
I just turn it off.
Again,
I don't watch the news. I literally don't. People are like, oh, how do you stay informed? I'm like, I X a very curated X feed, and it's not an echo chamber thing. It is I do not have time for your noise. I cannot care about what's going on in the world everywhere at once. We're not meant to do that. We're human beings. We grew up in tribes, small tribes, not like this global effect deal. It's just having, like, literally, I watch probably 15 minutes of news, maybe daily, maybe less, probably like 10 minutes. And if it's half of most of it's even reading, and I try to stay away from it, because there's what good is it? Like, I was literally watching a RH vintage video, got posted to the channel. I still got clips posting every week until July, I think, this year. And one of them was an interview with a hexologist. And in that, Richard was talking about like how the news is ephemeral, short-lived. A lot of the information you get from it, it's not very useful. You can't do much with it. And
it's interesting to think about over the past. Yeah, exactly. It does. Like, when I don't check into Twitter for like a day or two, and I come back, I feel this wave of like, oh fuck, there's all these things to be anxious about. Better, and you got to remember not to do that. And there's been a lot of noise, and finding the needle of signal in the haystack of noise is very hard. And even in crypto too, it makes you wonder how much of this daily, the daily engagement farmers of, I'm bullish today, I'm bearish, sell everything, chase this coin, chase that coin. How much of that was just noise versus doing stuff that you could have been controlling yourself, rather than like following 1 million people. I mean, from experience, when I first started in crypto, I used to follow dudes like Tone Bays or people like that, where it was just the daily update of what the price chart looks like, and it might go up, it might go down, it might go sideways. What did we accomplish here? It's I think onboarding is great, but that's another point too, is that people won't come in until they're emotionally motivated to buy something. Like they need that emotional reason for the most part, other than the lucky, few survivors still here, everybody watching. You guys understand the greater vision, and you're just that much farther ahead of everybody else. But there, why would you want to be on a chain where like everything sucks, right? If you're a new person coming in and you're coming in and you're seeing all this negative sentiment of how bad everything sucks, you're not going to really be emotionally motivated to buy. And so it is hard you can't force it. You can't force feeling good. Like I can't just pretend everything is great right now. But
I don't think new onboards, again, I speculate, I don't know for sure, but I don't think new onboards, like when they come on board, they bridged over to PulseChain for the first time, or they bought Hex and they go to stake it, or whatever they do for the first time. I don't think, unless they've already been exposed to the toxicity or otherwise, they even know. Like I think to them, they're like, whoa, the founder just made a new PulseChain website. Oh, that's cool. Look, it's got all the stats. Look, it's got all the stuff. I don't even think they know until if they do be unfortunate enough to dig in or follow the wrong people, or just get in some group that's just like, yeah, we all hate Richard. It all sucks. We're gonna unless they like get into the atmosphere. I think as a new person, like think about it. If you were to go to another community and just go on their Telegram and start interacting and start seeing their website and start buying their coins or whatever. Not that I'm telling anyone to do this, but if you were to do that today to a place you've never seen before, and that place had this history of like ups and downs, and this drama happened, this controversy, and there's a lot of true believers. But if you just get there on the first day and you're like, oh, cool, they got this website that has these stats, and these people want to help me out with this thing, you're probably going to have a better experience. And it's like everyone else who's trying to reinforce the pain that they felt throughout the last couple years or so, and all the angst or grievances or stuff they have. That's what's like making it like the new people have the worst experience. It's not a natural thing. We can be positive and people can have good experiences. And I don't think they come to the chain. I honestly don't think they come here and say, oh, this place sucks. And unless they see a bunch of stuff that does suck. And that's what we're creating. So stop creating that like that. That's what I'm saying.
It's hard though. I mean, again, that goes back to the personal choice of you actually can change your mental state by just choosing. But a lot of people haven't discovered that yet. And I think it's awesome. And I'm not going to pretend everything is just all perfect sunshine and rainbows for me or for everybody. We've all felt great amounts of pain. But it's, again, how you transmute that. I find even just humor is a great way to transmute it. I know there's a lot of guys that do spaces like KD and Panos, and a lot of guys do spaces where people can just, there's a lot of, joking about how shitty everything is, but it's just like that's important to do. Commiserating is fine as long as it's not super hateful and super negative, because everything is contagious. Whatever vibe you're putting out there, I'm all for joking our way out of it with like Bush did 9/11 meme coin type of shit. Like it's funny, man. Like it's funny. Some of this stuff is funny if you just lean into how ridiculous it all is. But I think there's a line where if you cross it, you're actually doing more harm to not only to yourself, not only to others, but yourself as well.
There's definitely a line where it's like, okay, we can joke, we can laugh, we can, all like, oh, it's Goblin Town, let's all high five each other, all DJ and all that stuff. But there's a point where it's like, okay, don't get too sucked into it. You get too sucked into it, you're gonna start, dipping your toes in other places. You're gonna start really being a degen in the very negative sense of the word, and you're gonna wreck yourself, and that sucks. So like that, there's a point where you can wreck yourself, and there's a point where you can just have fun with it. So I'm all for the former. The latter, I hope people can stay away from as much as possible. But I got a question here from David Farrow. Can you guys cover the fact that Richard's increasingly writing about PulseX on X? Actually, I don't know if I saw if I talked about this in the stream or not.
Can you say that a little slower? What was it?
Oh, can you guys cover the fact that Richard is increasingly writing about PulseX on X? So a lot of people have been talking about how Richard seems to be talking a lot about the fundamentals and buy and burn and stuff with PulseX. Kind of riffing on what you said a little bit earlier of like getting people excited, having like stuff to talk about, like it kind of reminded me of like momentum. Do you think that combined with other things we've seen that change recently, turning on comments and SEC stuff, winning and all that stuff recently, he's trying to promote the coins that way? And if so, like why PulseX? Like why not? Why hasn't he been like banging the drums for Hex as much as PulseX, for example?
Well, PulseX is, I do start, there is the argument to be made of what's got more sell pressure. Hex has an entire cycle of bag holders that are potential liabilities for the price. PulseX also has a giant sacrifice set, and that's always a liability, but it's been, maybe he's reading or picking up on the fact that most of the paper hands in PulseX are actually out. Or maybe he's just simply going for the fact that PulseX is the place that you do stuff. Like if you shill PulseX, that's a call to action to shill the entire ecosystem. In a way, you're also shilling Hex and Pulse, because you need to go to pulsex.com to get all the other coins. So PulseX is the gateway into every coin. So maybe it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it too. Like if you were Richard, which coins would you say have the most ROI for shilling? I think PulseX, huge sacrifice group. Hex, huge community from years ago. PulseChain, I mean, you're a ton of people into the chain itself. Gas token, things easy for them to understand. He's talked about ink before, leverage pieces, and then most, and he's talked about some of the pump tire stuff as well. What is the most ROI for getting people? I wonder, I want to see what metrics he's looking at. I bet he is looking at certain metrics for engagement and being like, when I post about PulseX, I get the most than other things. Maybe there's something to that.
Yeah. Are we at time here? I'm not sure.
We're pretty much at time. But any closing thoughts? Any final words from Keynote at Pulse Conference 2055?
Hex, PulseChain, PulseX, all the other coins, all the meme coins and stuff. It's part of a longer term vision. They're tests of the whole crypto environment is going to test your character. But everybody in PulseChain that's still here is strong and mostly positive, and understands that building through this brutal bear is the only way the only way out is through, right? So if we can just stay kind to each other, motivated, and focus on the vision, then we're going to get there, and we're all in it together.